Okay, so to begin, you're going to take your border color and a 3mm hook. So we're going to make a foundation row of double crochets to stretch to measurement A. So to do that, you're going to chain 3, and then you're going to yarn over, go into the first chain, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's like the first one. The chain 3 does count as a stitch, by the way. Yarn over, go kind of into this double loop that we've now created. Yarn over, pull through 1, pull through 2, pull through 2. So I'll show you one more time where you're yarning over. You're kind of turning it sideways, and you're going into both of these loops, right? So you have like 2 loops on your hook, just like that. And then 1, 1, 2. If you don't feel comfortable doing like this, you can just chain and then do double crochets, but it's just easier to see what length it's going to be starting out with the foundation row. So into these, just like that. 1, 2, 2. And you're going to do that until it stretches to your measurement A. Alright, so now I'm just lining it up at 41, and you can see when I pull at it, right, you want to make sure you're pulling on it, it hits 41 inches. Okay. Alright, so now you could chain 3 if you want, and then start working in the stitch. I'm just going to show you how I like to do mine. I do a single crochet, right, just like that, and then into this loop of the single crochet, I do another single crochet, just like that. So that just makes the edge straight as opposed to going in and out when you're chaining 3, but anyways. So now what we're going to do is the pattern is going to be 2 front post double crochets, 2 back front post double crochets. So first front post double crochet, just like this. So 1, 2, and then we'll do another. So we're going not in here, but you're actually kind of just going over the post. 1, 2, and then we're gonna do a back post one. So we're going over and into the back like that. Yeah. You're doing a double crochet, and then one more. So you're going to repeat that, 2 front post double crochets, 2 back post double crochets until you hit the end. Alright, so I'm reaching the end. So front post, and then back post, and then another back post. Alright, and then I've reached my chain 3 from the beginning of our foundation row right here. So I'm just going to place a 1, 2, 3, here we go, a normal double crochet there. Right, so you just finish your row, place a normal double crochet. If you have like an uneven number left, you could just do 2 normal double crochets. It's up to you how you want to deal with that, or you could do like a decrease or an increase. It's up to you. And then I'm just going to turn my work. Again, if you want to do chain 3, go for it. I'm going to do my single crochet. I don't know what this thing is actually called, like doing a increase like this. And then this time, as I go around, so these 2 kind of jut forward, So I'm going to do front post around them like this. 1, 2, 2, there we go. And then for the space behind, I'm going to do 2 back post. And I'm going to continue on like that. So you're going to keep on continuing 2 front post and then 2 back post the whole way around. And you'll just keep doing that until this reaches whatever like border length you want at the bottom of your vest. Okay, so now make sure you have your main color ready. I did 4 rows of alternating front post and back post, plus the foundation row. So I have 5 rows here. So I'm just gonna finish off the last few stitches. Just like this. Okay, and then I'm going to do my last normal double crochet. But I'm not going to pull the second one through. I'm going to tie on my yarn. And now I'm going to pull through the last 2 loops with the next color. Okay, once you've tied it on and pulled through the last 2 loops of that last double crochet, you're going to switch to your 4mm hook. And then you want to make sure there's no twists in the border as you come around. And what you're going to do is, into this first stitch, you're going to do a single crochet. So just like that, a single crochet. And then you're going to go all the way around, single crocheting, and you just kind of want to make sure that as you're doing this, you're pulling up a little more than you usually would with that second loop. So like, here's where I would usually pull up. I'm just going a little farther. Nothing crazy. It just really helps doing the waistcoat stitch, which is what the rest of the sweater vest is. So just single crochet all the way around, making sure to pull up a little more than usual. All right, so I'm reaching the end of my row. So there we go. I'm just gonna do the last few single crochets. And then one last one right here. And now we're gonna start waistcoat stitching. So I have like a more detailed tutorial on this linked, but basically you're just going into the V like that. Again, make sure that isn't in the way. Pulling up and single crocheting. So instead of going in the normal place where you would single crochet, you're going into the V. And so you're just gonna keep waistcoat stitching in the round, all the way around until you reach measurement B. So like until you're ready to start the color work. Okay, so just like that. Okay, so now I'm ready to start the color work. I've kind of reached my desired length. For me, that was a lot, like 4.5 inches. Okay, so that's where mine was. And then you're gonna like find where you want your midpoint to be. I like kind of putting this seam on the right, but if you want it in the back, like go for it. But you're just gonna figure out where you want the midpoint of your vest to be, and then find the midpoint of the logo. For me, the midpoint of the logo is like the 30th stitch. So I'm just kind of guesstimating where the middle of this is. You could like find it perfectly if you want, but I'm just guesstimating. So I found my middle, and my middle of the logo is the 30th stitch. So I'm going to count 30 stitches to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So this right here, this stitch is gonna be the start of my logo stitch. So I'm just gonna mark it. Okay, so I just used an earring because I don't know where my stitch markers are. But this is now gonna be like stitch 1 of my logo. And so for me, my first row, which is the bottom row of the logo, I keep going until I hit like 25, and then I have like 7 colors of color B, I think, and then I keep going. So I'll show you what it looks like. I'm just going to show you what to do when you hit the stitch marker stitch. So this is the stitch before, just doing a regular one, and then into the stitch with the stitch marker, right? You can take it out at this point if it's in the way, like mine is. I think I'm going to. And then I'll do a stitch like that. And then into the stitch I just did, I'll replace the stitch marker. So I always keep track of like where the start of my color work will be. Okay, so I just did 20 of my main color. I'm supposed to start my color change at number 26. So I'll just show you how I do that. That's 22, 23, 24. And so this is my 25th stitch, right? So I'm not going to pull all the way through. I'm just going to grab my other color and tie it on. Just like that. I fully just tied the actual color on. Hang on. Okay, so my second color's on. I'm just going to pull it tight. And then I'm going to finish my 25th stitch with that second color. And then I'm going to continue with this color, I think for like 10 stitches. I'll have to double check that. I'll put it in there. But you would just keep doing this, and then you would switch back to your original color like that when you are done, right? Just like that. Okay, so I just finished all the way around. It ended up being like 10 of that color, and I'm just carrying my main color behind as I go. So now just a note, like you can do, the next one is 22 blue, and then like starting here, some of my color B, and then like one color C, I think. So I just want to like a note, you can either think of it as doing 22 of your main color and then picking this one up, or you can kind of just like go relative to this, where 3 plus is where you start. So like that's just kind of a way to do it. Also, for my colors, because you're going in a circle, I'm gonna cut them each time and then like retie my yarn, if that makes sense. Okay, so I've reached the point where I'm gonna start with my color B again. So I just cut this down here, and I'm gonna reattach my yarn. And it's a good idea to weave in your tails as you go with this. So I'm just finishing this color like that, and then I'm going in, and I'm just going over my tail that I just made with the color. So I'm going to do 7 of these. So 1, grabbing my tail, making sure I'm crocheting over it, 2, 3, and then I'm also making sure to carry my main color as well, like every 4th or 5th stitch. I'm also grabbing my main color and dragging that with me. So I need to do 7 of these. So that's 4. And at this point I can just drop the tail. It's been carried for long enough. 6. Nope, that's 5. I know how to count. 6. 7. And then I need to do 1 stitch of my next color. So that's this one. I'm just going to attach it. Okay, so I have it attached. I'm just going to pull through like that. I'm going to do 1 stitch with my new color. And then going back to the one I was doing, I do 8 more stitches. Again, making sure I carry my main color with me. like so. So 1, 2, 3. And if you like reach the end of where your last row of this color worked, you can also go over that tail as well. So I'm going to be doing that as well. So that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's all of this color. I'm going to go back to my main color, right? Just like that, and I'm just going to go all the way around again. I do like to wait to cut these until my next row, just so I can kind of see where it needs to be dragged. So just kind of like play around with how often you like to cut the yarn and like how far you're okay with dragging it. Like for example, if the next row I was doing this color like right here, I would just pull it with me. I wouldn't have to cut it. So, you know, just keep that in mind. So I just want to show you guys one more tip for color work. So in parts, we have like kind of vertical stripes going. So I have these kind of stripes that are going to go up like this. What I actually do is, this is a tangled mess, but I actually just cut off like really long strings of the color. So I have one really long string for here, one really long string for here, one really long string for here, and one really long string for here. That way once I get here, I can just like pick it up from the last stitch instead of having to like drag this color all the way to here and do 3 stitches and then drag it all the way around to here to do the little V's. So that's just an option. Like you can cut really long pieces of string and string yarn. That way you don't have to do as many tie-ons, but it's completely optional. So at this point, what you're going to do is just keep on going with your color work until you hit, I think measurement C. I'll put it on the screen if I'm wrong. But that's just like where you're going to start the armpit. Okay, so I've hit the length that I want it when I start doing the decreases. It's about 11 inches top to bottom. I might add more to this border though, I don't know. I'll let you know. So what you're going to do is you're going to place a stitch marker, and I'm a stitch marker, so we're using yarn. This white one. You're gonna find where you want the midpoint of your like vest to be. If you have a logo, like it would be in the middle of your logo, and then you're gonna find out how many stitches are all the way around. So for me, that was that was 161 stitches all around. Okay, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna multiply that number by 0.2. So for me, I got 32 stitches, okay? So 161 times 0.2. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna count from your midpoint, 32 stitches or whatever your number is, and then place a stitch marker, and then same going this way. So 32 stitches both ways, I get these two. And then you're gonna multiply your number by 0.1. So 161 times 0.1 is 16. So starting from this stitch marker, count 16 this way, and then same thing over here, count 16 this way. So from your midpoint, you have 32 on both sides and then 16 on both sides. Okay, so now you're gonna work not in the round anymore. You're just gonna go straight across, cut, reinsert your yarn straight across. We're not working in the round anymore because we need like an armpit. And so at each one of these, you're going to decrease each row for I think 6 rows. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'll put it on the screen. Okay, so I've already done a few rows, but I'm just going to show you how I like to do it. So I just go into my first stitch kind of normally, like you would do a normal single crochet, and I just slip stitch into there. And then I do a decrease, so this, let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see better. So I'm just going into my decrease, pulling up a loop, and then going into the next stitch, pulling up a loop, and then pulling through all 3. So that's 1 decrease on this end, and then I just crochet as normal, trying again to kind of get my whatever these are called, ends weaved in as I go. Okay, so once I've reached kind of towards the end, for these last few stitches, I like to go over the tail from the previous row, kind of like this, so that way I don't have to weave it in later. So I just go like this, and then when I reach the last 2 stitches, I do a decrease. So in here, and then into here. Just like that, and then chain it to fasten off. And you're just gonna keep doing that until your width becomes, I don't know which measurement, but the width that you want it minus the trim. Okay, so I ended up doing up 8 rows of decreases, so now I have reached 11 inches. I want mine to be 13 inches wide, and I'll have a 1-inch border, so that's why I'm at 11 inches. 1 inch on both sides, so 13. Now I'm just gonna go straight up for a while with no decreases. Okay, so once you reach about 2 fingers below your collarbone, you can do it lower if you want to, it's completely up to you. What you're gonna do is you're gonna find your midpoint of your design, and then this is kind of the collar that we're going for, so I'm just showing that as an example. So this is about 1 inch wide, so I'm gonna find the center point of my thing, and then I'm gonna measure if that's my center point, how long is 1 inch? And for me, that's about 5 stitches. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to crochet back, like I'm not gonna go all the way across now. I'm gonna go until I hit 5 stitches and stop, and then until I hit 5 stitches and stop. And then same on this side, where I'm again ignoring the 5 stitches. I'm not doing anything here, and I'm just going like this way and stopping. So you'll have 2 panels with like a 5 stitch gap in the middle. And I'm gonna do that for, let's see, probably about 2 inches. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you how to do the decreases for the collar. So these are already done, you can see here. I'm gonna show you how to do this side, but when you do this side, the only difference is, like if I say start with a triple decrease, you're gonna like end the triple decrease. So the decreases that happen at the beginning here are gonna happen at the end here, and that's the only difference. All right, so I'm gonna insert my hook here. Okay, let me get that on camera. That might help. So I'm just gonna slip stitch into here. And then I'm going to do a triple decrease. So that just means that I'm going into my first one and the second one and the third one. So now I have 4 loops on the hook. I'm going to pull through all 4, just like that. And I'm gonna go into my next stitch and just normal crochet down the rest of the row. Okay, so now I'm gonna do row 2 of this collar part. This is our first decrease. I'm actually gonna skip the stitch and insert here. So when you're doing the other side of the panel, you would like skip the last stitch, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna go in here, and I'm again slip stitching, and then I'm gonna do another triple decrease. So going in here, going in here, and going here, and then pulling through all 4. And again, just continuing as normal all the way down. Okay, so now for row 3, I'm just inserting into the triple we just did. and then I'm slip stitching. Here, let me get my yarn together. There we go. So just like so. And then this row, we're only doing a normal double, not a triple. I'm sorry, a normal decrease, not a triple decrease. So again, I'm just kind of going into those last two of the triple. I'm pulling up a loop, and then I'm gonna go in here, and just like that, and then normal, crocheting the rest of the way. All right, so this is what it should look like once you've done the collar. So now we're gonna work on the back. And then you're also gonna repeat this process on the back, where I'm gonna decrease on both sides for 8 rows and then go straight up for a while. Okay, so you're just gonna go up normally the back until you're 4 rows less than whatever your front was. So you're gonna count all the rows in the front panel, and you're gonna stop doing your normal back, your normal crochets once you have 4 rows left, and then you're gonna split for the back of the collar. So just like the front, you're gonna find the middle. Mine was 50 stitches long, so this is the 25th and 26th stitch are the middle. So your first row, I've already done the right side, I'll show you the left side. Your crocheting is normal, and then my middle stitch is the 25th stitch. So 7 stitches before, you're gonna do a decrease and then a triple decrease. So that should leave 3 stitches like blank. So we're gonna do the same over here. We're gonna get to our 26th stitch, skip 26, 27, 28, and then go into 29, do a triple decrease and a double decrease, and then crochet as normal. I don't have my document camera, so this is why this part of the tutorial has been a little rough. But this is stitch 26, so 27, 28, 29 is where I'm inserting. I'm doing a triple decrease and then a double, just like a normal decrease here. Okay, so there we have it. There's our triple, there's our double, and then I crocheted as normally. And so for the second row, we're doing the same thing. We're doing another triple, another double. So for the triple, the first loop of it goes into the triple, the second loop of it goes into the double, and then the third loop of it goes into this normal stitch, and then the just normal decrease goes into these 2 normal stitches, and you crochet as normal the rest of the way. All right, so here's what it looks like finished, the back. So I don't know if you can tell in this video because it's looking so bad, but well, you probably just noticed while making it, because we worked in the round, everything is kind of like at an angle. So now I'm gonna block it to try and like fix that. So like if you follow like this row up, you end up like all the way over there, which is not what you want. So I'm gonna block it. All right, so I'm using safety pins and a pillow because I'm on vacation, so I don't have all my blocking stuff. So we're kind of MacGyvering it, but like theoretically you'd have pins and like a foam mat or something like that you could use. So I'm just pinning this down, and then I'm gonna pin like right around here, kind of like shifting all the rows to make sure they're like straight above it. All right, so I just pinned it so they're more or less straight, and I'm just gonna place a wet washcloth on it and iron it because that's where I am in my life, but ideally you'd have a steamer. So here's the front blocked. You can already see that these look a lot straighter and like flatter, so now I'm gonna do the back. All right, so I finished the back. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna line these up together and pin these together to make sure the front and back are like exactly the same size. You don't really have to do this, it's just kind of a personal preference. But yeah. Okay, so that's done. Now I'm just gonna sew along just these parts right here, like that, and then it'll be time to start the collar and the ribbing. Okay, so now for the collar, what you're gonna do is you're gonna measure along here, here, and back down here and see what that length is. All right, so this one and this one are 3.5, and this big one was 6.5 for me. So that is 13.5 inches if I did the math correct. So you're just gonna crochet like we did this, where you're gonna make a foundation chain that goes about 13.5 inches or whatever your number is. We stretched pretty hard when we like measured it this time. This time it's just gonna basically be 13.5 inches. You're not gonna like pull it out. And also the height that you're making it is the width of this part right here. So this for me is about 3/4 of an inch. So my piece is gonna be 13.5 inches wide and about 3/4 of an inch tall. All right, so here we go. You can see like naturally it lies at 13, but if I stretch it like just slightly, I don't have two hands free, but if I stretch it just slightly, it becomes 13.5. So do it like a 1/2 inch shorter than your measurement, so you can just stretch it a little bit. And then I'm going to add height. All right, so for the first part of the collar, I actually just decided to do 2 sets of double crochet. I decided the ribbing on the collar was a bit much, but I'm just gonna sew this piece around. All right, so I just mattress stitched it all the way across in blue thread. And then now I'm gonna make 2 of the same things where you're going like 2 double crochets, but the width is going to be this. So this is gonna be your width and you're gonna make 2 of them. Okay, so I have my 2 pieces. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sew them on. So this one is gonna get sewed down here and then here. And then this one would be sewn down here and here. So each of these are connected on 2 sides. All right, so now here's what we look like. Still have to weave in on the ends, but whatever. Next up, we're gonna do like the floppy part of the collar. Okay, so for the final floppy part of the collar, yes, I made this tutorial out of order. Don't ask questions. What you're gonna do is right now you have 2 rows of double crochet in a 3mm hook size. Sorry, my camera's shaking. This part is in a 4mm hook size. So if you just like went around doing single crochets into the current double crochets, it'd be too big, right? Because down here, we wanted it to be bigger because we wanted the waist to kind of cinch in, but we don't want that to happen up here. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna kind of take a gauge of how many stitches an inch or 2 inches is of your double crochets and how many an inch or 2 inches is of this, so you can kind of figure out the ratio. So for me, 10 double crochets and 9 of these stitches makes I think 2 inches, I don't remember, but they're equal. So every 10th stitch as I go around single crocheting, I'm going to skip the first round. So you're gonna insert your hook here. Right now you have 2 rows of double crochet. You're gonna kind of insert your hook halfway in between the what's it called, the collar. Like you don't want to start right at the end, and you also don't want to start with the first double crochet that goes this way. You're kind of inserting halfway. You're gonna do 9 regular single crochets and then just into the double crochets and then skip a double crochet and continue. So 9 normal double crochets, skip a double crochet, and you're gonna do that all the way around for your first row. Just normal single crochets, kind of similar to how we started the blue down here. We had to start with a normal row of single crochets. So just all the way around, and again until about halfway in between the 2 rows. And it is important that you start here and go this way, so that these look correctly when it folds down. And then what you're gonna do for the next rows is the waistcoat stitch, just kind of exactly how we did down here, all the way around. The only thing you're doing differently is every 3rd row you're doing an increase. So every 3rd row you do an increase in the first stitch and then an increase in the last stitch. So just to recap, you have 2 double crochet rows right now. Your first row all the way around is single crochets, just skipping every 10th stitch. You don't decrease it or anything, just skip it. And then I think this is 8 rows, I believe. I'll put it on the screen if it's not. 8 rows of waistcoat stitch, where the single crochet row counts as row 1. So 1, a normal row of waistcoat stitch, and then the 2nd row of waistcoat stitch, which is your 3rd row. I hope this makes sense, is an increase in the first stitch and an increase in the last stitch, and then 2 normal waistcoat stitch rows, an increase and an increase, and so on and so forth. But yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to do the trim. So what you're going to do is you're going to measure here to here, here to here, and then here to here. So like just all the way down this side, and then times 2 because the loop goes all the way around. And then you're gonna make a foundation double crochet that we've been making, that we made for this one. And what you're gonna do is, what I like to do is I like to actually, once I reach this length, I like to actually keep my yarn attached and sew it on before I actually do any of this. So like I sew it on this side so that I can continue crocheting this way once it's actually sewn on. And I do that because sometimes it can be hard to actually figure out how long this is supposed to be because of the way fabric stretches. So if you just crochet like this, like you sew this on first, then you can make changes. Like if it's too short, you can just keep crocheting, or if it's too long, you can uncrochet it, if that makes sense. So I'll show you what I mean. So I just attached it down here, and make sure again you're sewing along the part that you are going to crochet on top of. It's like the actual chain part. And so what I do is I lay it flat. Make sure that it's flat when you're doing this, because if you're like actively stretching it while this isn't flat, like this can also stretch. But I just kind of take it and I just take it and I kind of just like stretch the chain just a bit, like nothing crazy. And then I'll go here and I'll actually like tie in like a stitch marker into here to make sure I know that that's how far it's supposed to go. Okay, so there we go. I just attached it here. And so as I sew along this, I'm making sure I'm doing it so that once I reach here, these 2 stitches are the ones that get sewn together. So I kind of like stretch it like that and then sew along it. And I'm just gonna do that all the way around. And here's just like an example of why I do this. This way is like, so my chain is too short, like it doesn't reach all the way here. And so because I'm still like attached, I can just crochet more to make it the right size. And if I had it too long, I could just undo a few stitches. But if I had like crocheted like the actual trimming, it would have been like really hard to fix this gap. So this way you kind of set your future self up for success. But anyways, I'm just gonna finish to this part. And once I'm done sewing, I'll just continue crocheting up and down with 2 front posts, 2 back posts, 2 front posts, 2 back posts. All right, so you can see right here, I just went back and forth doing the ribbing, and I'm just going to stitch this up. All right, here's the finished vest. I do think I might block this, just specific part of the collar so it doesn't curl, but that's kind of optional. You can also kind of sew along here to keep the collar folded the way that you want it, but that's also completely optional. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm most likely to respond to emails, but like TikTok, Instagram DMs work as well. Don't DM me on YouTube. I don't read those. So there you go.